Lonely librarian discovers 50 heartwarming love letters from hidden billionaire. An incredible treasure awaits. In the sleepy town of Willow Creek, Clara Dobbins had grown used to the whispers of the dust settling on ancient shelves. She spent her days surrounded by the comforting scent of old paper, the beautiful solitude of dusty bookshelves wrapping around her like a warm knit sweater. Yet, even amidst the coziness of her job as a librarian, a profound loneliness echoed in the chambers of her heart. Her days felt like repetitive chapters in a forgotten tome, where the ink had begun to fade. She longed for a connection beyond the fleeting greetings exchanged with the town's familiar faces. One fateful afternoon, the library's attic called to her a treasure trove of forgotten texts waiting to be catalogued. As she climbed the creaky wooden staircase, her heart raced with the thrill of discovery. Among the cobwebs and shadows, Clara stumbled upon an intricately carved wooden desk, its beauty hidden beneath layers of dust and neglect. Curiosity sparked within her, pushing her hands to pry open a secret compartment. What she unearthed next was an avalanche of letters, each one an exquisite masterpiece of love filled with longing and dreams. Penmanship flowed across the paper, bursting with emotions from a reclusive billionaire named Benjamin Hale to a woman he adored, Elizabeth. As Clara read their passionate exchanges, her heart ached with every word. Benjamin's opulent upbringing clashed with Elizabeth's free-spirited influence, igniting a flame in Clara's soul. How often had she felt as if her own aspirations were crushed beneath the weight of expectations, dismissed by those around her as just the librarian. With each letter, her isolation faded. Benjamin's sorrow felt familiar, echoing in her own struggles for acceptance. The townsfolk began buzzing, gossiping about Benjamin Hale's untold love story, igniting debates about the nature of wealth and true value. Clara could feel passionate arguments swirling around her, yet she remained on the sidelines, heart racing. For the first time, she felt the stirring of purpose. Sensing this was her moment to bridge the gap between privilege and heart. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Filled with determination, Clara decided to organize an art show designed to showcase the talent of local artists, those often overlooked. Their work could capture the spirit of the townspeople, illuminating the artistic flair that thrived alongside the whispers of wealth. Yet, with every new artist she reached out to, Clara's heart raced, caught in the tension between the desire to inspire and the suffocating fear of insignificance. Would they see her for who she truly was? As the show loomed closer, Clara discovered a letter that slipped from her carefully arranged folder, a personal letter meant for her. It spoke of Benjamin's own struggles and a secret that intertwined their paths far more than she could have anticipated. The warm glow of stepping into Benjamin's world sparked hope, but it also revealed a chilling truth. Who was this man she had grown to admire from a distance? Could she embrace the connections that came from opening her heart to potential pain? The clock ticked down, and Clara stood at a precipice. Would she take a leap of faith into this unexpected connection, or retreat back into the safe shadows of her library? Clara stood there, the fragile piece of paper trembling in her hands, heart pounding as questions danced through her mind. The letter was like an unwrapped gift, teasing her with possibilities she'd never dared to imagine. Benjamin's struggles echoed in her own life, crafting a bridge between two lonely souls who had never met. Was it fate that had led her to this discovery, or merely a coincidence that bound her to his past? As days passed and the art show drew near, Clara's excitement melded seamlessly with anxiety. Each conversation with potential artists filled her with a simmering hope, yet the ever-present fear of rejection teased at the edges of her resolve. What if no one believed in her vision? What if they saw her nothing more than a quaint librarian? One afternoon, while sorting through painting submissions, Clara decided to take the leap. She picked up her phone, her hands shaking slightly as she dialed the number of Thomas, an artist known for his stunning depictions of Willow Creek-esque landscapes. He was passionate and raw, everything Clara admired, yet she wondered what he would think of her idea. "Hello?" His voice was warm, inviting, like a soft breeze on a summer's day. "Hi, Thomas. It's Clara Dobbins from the library." She introduced herself, causing the usual tremor of nerves to creep into her heart. "I'm organizing an art show to highlight local artists and celebrate the town's creativity. Would you be interested in participating?" There was a brief silence on the line before his laughter floated back to her. "You know, I've been waiting for someone to take the initiative. Count me in." The thrill of his enthusiasm buoyed her spirits, melting away her fear by degrees. She felt like she was standing at the very edge of the precipice, ready to soar. With each artist who agreed to showcase their work, Clara's heart soared. Yet, that letter from Benjamin remained a constant whisper in the back of her mind, beckoning her to unravel the mysteries of both his world and his heart. Who was Elizabeth? What had transpired between them? It felt surreal that this secret life existed just beyond her reach. The night of the art show arrived, vibrant with energy. The gallery space buzzed with laughter and chatter. Clara stood by the door, greeting guests, a smile lighting her face. Yet her thoughts drifted back to Benjamin. As she mingled, she kept glancing at the entrance, half expecting him to walk through. What if he sought her out, drawn by anonymous admiration, spurred on by the letters? Determined, she approached the podium, ready to welcome her townsfolk to this celebration. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady despite the thrumming of her heart. "We are here tonight not just to appreciate art, but to remember that creativity pulses through our community. Rich and diverse, but just then, a hush fell over the crowd. Clara turned to see a figure standing near the entrance. A familiar face, one she had only seen in old photographs but instantly recognized the unmistakable features of Benjamin Hale. The air shifted, full of tension as he scanned the room. Eyes locking on hers, in that moment, everything shifted. Clara's heart raced with a mix of dread and hope. What would happen next? Would he approach her, or would he fade back into the shadows of his past? The gallery was alive with laughter and conversation, yet all she could hear was the echo of her own breath. She stood there, rooted, wondering if this was the moment she had dreamed of or feared. Would she reach for the connection she craved, or retreat away from the unknown? And as Benjamin took a step forward, Clara's heart raced faster than ever. The night was pregnant with possibilities, and she braced for a future she never expected, a world where love letters could lead to real connections. What would Benjamin reveal about his past? And how would it intertwine with her future? Clara's heart thudded as she watched Benjamin inch closer, his expression a tapestry of uncertainty and curiosity. The vibrant chaos of the art show was reduced to a distant murmur. In that moment, the world around her faded, leaving only the magnetic pull of his gaze. What had she imagined incorrectly about this mythical stranger? "Benjamin," she whispered, barely able to form the words. They felt heavy on her tongue, urgent yet fragile. As if saying his name would shatter some unspoken spell that hung between them, he smiled shyly, an action that seemed to both warm her heart and twist the knot of anxiety growing in her stomach. "Clara," he replied softly, his voice rich and soothing. I didn't know if you'd remember me." How could she forget? Those letters had stirred something deep within her, and suddenly, they were standing on the precipice of a shared reality. The letter that had drawn her into his world began to make its presence known, its weight palpable between them. It danced in the air, shimmering like a secret just waiting to be unveiled. With a gentle resolve, Clara stepped forward, closing the distance between them. The gallery buzzed with activity, yet she felt cocooned in this shared moment. "I read your letters, Benjamin. They touched me deeply. I found something of myself in your words." His expression shifted, the vulnerability in his eyes mingling with something deeper, maybe surprise. "You read them?" There was a flicker of something, fear, perhaps, before he swallowed hard, his jaw tightening. "I never meant for anyone to see them. I know, Clara hurried to say, wanting to reassure him. But your story, it connected with mine. I found strength in your honesty. Benjamin's gaze softened, as if, in that instant, she had peeled back the layers of his guarded heart. I didn't think anyone cared about the struggles I faced. It was a way to stay alive, to express the tangled feelings I buried. But I never expected someone like you, a living, breathing person, to actually find meaning in them. Your words deserve to be shared. They matter, she insisted, her voice tipping from timid to fervent. And your art, this show celebrates the power of creativity, just like you have. You should join us, show your work. He hesitated, a small furrow forming between his brow. It's been a long time since I've stood in front of anyone who might share my vision. An ache of understanding pulsed in Clara's chest. You're not alone anymore, she urged, the gravity of her own emotions weaving through her words. You have people who want to embrace you. Let them see you, let me see you. Benjamin's eyes glistened with unshed emotion. One moment stretched into an eternity, and Clara felt something shift between them. As the hum of the show began to filter back in, guests moved around them, unaware of the quiet revelation unfolding. The laughter, the clinking of glasses, the world continued as if nothing had happened. Yet for Clara and Benjamin, everything had changed. Clara's heart swelled with hope, but it was also tinged with worry. What if this connection, so fragile and new, could still be broken? She could sense his hesitation, the walls he had built standing tall. Clara took a small step back, planting the seed of her hope, yet allowing him the space to decide. Whenever you're ready, she whispered, the warmth of sincerity threading through her tone. As Benjamin gazed at her, the shadows of his past swirling in his eyes, Clara felt a growing anticipation that felt almost like a promise. Would he embrace this newfound possibility, or sink back into his solitude? As he stood there, weighing his choices, she couldn't help but wonder what lay ahead. The night was still young, and so were their stories. Would they be brave enough to fight for the connection they had begun to forge? And as the crowd roared to life around them, her heart pounded once more, only this time with the thrill of a burgeoning adventure yet to unfold. What revelations awaited them? What secrets of the past might still surface? Clara held her breath, leaning into the moment, her eyes fixed on Benjamin. The buzz of the gallery crowded in, but all she could sense was the weight of his hesitation. She wanted to reach out, to wrap her fingers around his and pull him toward the light, but she sensed he needed more time. His brow furrowed deeper, shadow doubts creeping back in. I never thought I could share my art again. Feels like stepping onto a stage without a script. Everyone makes mistakes, Benjamin, Clara said gently, her voice breaking through the fog of his uncertainty. But you are not your past. You are so much more than the words that scared you into hiding. A flicker of something shifted in his eyes, perhaps hope, or maybe just the faintest glimmer of understanding. Clara waited, her heart racing as she grasped onto the thought that maybe, just maybe, she was starting to bring him back into the world. Benjamin took a deep breath, and Clara felt the tension in the air crackle like static. What if I fail? He whispered, his voice barely audible over the undulating crowd. What if you fly? Clara replied, appreciation glistening in her tone. She gestured around the room, where people laughed and munched on hors d'oeuvres, faces lit with wonder as they experienced the creative energy that coursed through the artworks. Look at them. They're here for inspiration just like you. He cast his gaze around the room, watching as people whispered and gestured animatedly. Their delight in the art seemed to awaken something inside him, a rumble of enthusiasm that Clara could almost see blooming in his spirit. I remember, he said, his voice firming just a bit. I used to live for that feeling, the thrill of sharing what I created. Yes. Clara leaned in closer, her heart racing with encouragement. Reclaim that, Benjamin, still in you. For a moment, the world fell away again, leaving only Clara and Benjamin bound by an invisible thread of shared experience and understanding. Clara thought she could feel his walls beginning to crack, and hope ignited within her. But then, just as quickly, the light in his eyes dimmed. is a risk I'm not sure I'm ready to take. What if no one wants to see my work? What if they judge me? Then that's their loss, she said, fierce and unwavering. You have to show up for yourself first. And I promise, if you don't let them judge you, they won tea. For a fleeting moment, his shoulders relaxed, and Clara felt the shift in his energy. It was as if the tide had turned ever so slightly, and perhaps she was the catalyst for it. Wariness still lingered, but possibility sparked. I'll think about it, he finally said, a tender smile breaking through his doubts. In that instant, joy bubbled up within Clara. It didn't matter that they weren't quite there yet. What mattered was that they had taken a step forward together. She could see the stubborn light of hope creeping through his eyes like the first rays of dawn. Thank you for believing in me, he said, sincerity weaving through his words. I believe in us, Clara replied, her heart swelling with something beautiful and fragile. Together, anything feels possible. And as they stood surrounded by the art and dreams dancing in the air, Clara couldn't help but reflect on the intensity of their moment. It felt like they were both teetering at the edge of something immensely profound, something that could change everything. But just as she embraced that thought, a loud crash echoed through the gallery, drawing their attention. Heads turned, and Clara's heart raced. What had just happened? The next moment could shift everything again. Would this new adventure still have the power to endure, or could it be derailed by unforeseen chaos? Clara had a sinking feeling that the night was just beginning to unfold, and both she and Benjamin were not ready for what might come next. Clara's heart pounded in her chest as she and Benjamin turned toward the source of the commotion. The sound of breaking glass shattered the gallery's delicate ambience, sending a ripple of panic through the crowd. People whispered hurriedly, eyes darting around in confusion. Clara's gaze locked onto a young man awkwardly attempting to gather the shards of a fallen sculpture that had toppled from its pedestal. Is he okay? Benjamin's voice trembled slightly, both from concern and the sudden jolt of reality crashing down on their tender moment. I think so, Clara replied, taking a step closer to Benjamin, her hand brushing against his. She could feel the tension seeping out of him, trading it for an urgency to help. Let us go check, Benjamin said, and Clara marveled at how quickly he shifted gears, his protective instincts kicking in. Together, they moved toward the commotion, Clara's heart racing with a mix of hope and fear. She hadn't realized how much she needed this burst of life, a reminder that even amidst uncertainty, people could support one another as they approached. Clara noticed the young man, a wiry figure with tousled hair, and an expression of devastation staring blankly at the scattered remnants of the broken art piece. Clara instinctively knelt beside him. Are you hurt? She asked gently. Her voice soft yet steady. He looked up, eyes wide with embarrassment. I'm okay. It was a stupid mistake. It's not stupid, Benjamin interjected, kneeling beside Clara. Accidents happen. Let us clean this up together. Clara could see the flickering acknowledgement in the young man's eyes. Really? You don't have to. Of course we do, she said, flashing him a smile that felt like sunlight peeking through clouds. Let us get this sorted out before it ruins the night for everyone. In that moment, Clara sensed Benjamin's subtle transformation, the way his doubts began to dissolve in the act of helping someone else. He was no longer weighed down by his fears. He was alive in the moment. With their combined efforts, they cleared the shards of glass and debris, making the path clear again. As the crowd slowly regained their composure, Clara felt a strange shift in the atmosphere. It was as if everyone suddenly understood the fragility of art and connection, the way creativity and vulnerability were both beautiful and delicate. Thank you, the young man said, visibly relieved. I thought everyone would hate me for ruining the exhibition. No one here hates you, Clara assured him, standing up and brushing off her knees. People understand. What matters is how we help one another through the chaos. Benjamin nodded, his eyes brightening with newfound perspective. You have a talent for bringing clarity, Clara. As they stepped back into the gallery's buzzing energy, Clara felt a surge of adrenaline rush through her veins. The weight of the earlier tension had shifted, pulling her and Benjamin toward something larger than themselves. It was exhilarating to know they could embrace the unexpected together. Just as their spirits started to lift, Clara noticed a figure across the room. A woman cloaked in shadows, staring at them with a tight-lipped expression. She held a clipboard, and as the woman's eyes locked onto Benjamin, Clara felt an electric chill sweep through the air. There was something about her demeanor, something foreboding that made Clara's heart race anew. "Ben, do you know her?" Clara asked quietly, her curiosity piqued. But before he could respond, the woman turned and slipped into the crowd, as if she melted into the shadows. Clara's instincts flared. Something about that woman felt off, like the calm before a storm. What had she seen that Clara hadn't? Feeling the eerie shift, Clara looked up at Benjamin, who seemed as puzzled as she was. "We should go after her," he said, a spark of determination igniting in his voice. But Clara hesitated, caught in the in-between. Was this the next stage of their adventure, or a dangerous detour into the unknown? Her breath caught in her throat, and she exhaled slowly, wondering where this new path would lead. Clara glanced back at the crowd, which was beginning to buzz again, people chatting and laughing, the energy of the gallery slowly returning to its original rhythm. But her focus remained on the shadowy figure that had cast a pall over their moment of connection. She looked intense, Clara murmured, her brow furrowing. Why would she be so interested in us? It's like she was waiting for something. Benjamin ran a hand through his hair, clearly wrestling with his thoughts. "I don't know, but I can't shake this feeling that we should figure out what's going on. I mean, she seemed too detached for it to be just coincidence." Clara nodded, a mix of curiosity and apprehension curling in her gut. "Okay, let us follow her," she said, finding her own resolve. The decision felt impulsive and yet thrilling. As they moved through the throng, Clara felt her heart racing with a mix of excitement and dread. Spotting the woman in the distance, they quickened their pace, dodging around clusters of patrons and vibrant art displays that surrounded them. But the closer they got, the more elusive she seemed, slipping effortlessly through gaps in the crowd. "Wait," Benjamin called out, his voice rising above the chatter. Clara gripped his arm, urging him to move faster. Just as they rounded a corner, Clara caught a glimpse of her disappearing behind an exit door marked "Staff Only." "Do you think we should go in there?" Benjamin asked, pausing at the door, uncertainty etched on his face. "You just said you wanted to know what's going on," Clara replied, her heart thrumming in her chest. "This might be our only chance." With a nod, they stepped through the door, finding themselves in a narrow, dimly lit hallway lined with art supplies and old crates. The atmosphere was markedly different, more serious than the vibrant energy of the gallery. The air felt charged, filled with secrets whispered in shadows. "Do you hear that?" Clara whispered, her breath catching as a low murmur floated through the hallway. It was hard to make out words, but it sounded like a conversation full of urgency and emotion. She shared a glance with Benjamin, their eyes wide with anticipation. They cautiously moved toward the sound, hearts in sync as they edged closer. Suddenly, they found themselves at a heavy door slightly ajar, a flickering light spilling through. Clara could make out two figures inside familiar faces that sent a spike of confusion through her. One of them was the woman from the gallery, and the other was someone Clara recognized but couldn't place right away. "Your plan is too dangerous." The woman's voice was sharp, full of frustration. "We can't keep doing this. He can't find out about you. Everyone has to know." The man argued, his voice passionate. "I won't hide anymore. It's time they knew the truth." Clara exchanged an anxious glance with Benjamin, 1,000 questions racing through her mind. They were only a breath away from uncovering something monumental, yet all she felt was a mix of intrigue and fear. "Should we go in?" Benjamin's whisper barely reached her ears, but it was laced with both excitement and trepidation. Clara inhaled deeply, weighing their options. They could turn back, but a strong pull urged her to lean into the unknown. "I think we have to. Whatever is happening, it's bigger than us," she replied, determination filling her voice as she pushed the door open wider. A cold gust blew through the hallway, setting off alarms in her mind. Clara stepped inside, ready to confront the truth, But was she prepared for what awaited them on the other side? In that swirling moment, she sensed the tides were turning, their adventure now spiraling into something much more complicated than the night she had imagined. What secrets lay behind those closed doors? And would they be ready for the revelations that awaited them? Clara pushed the door open and was met with a rush of warmth mingled with tension. The room was filled with stacks of paintings and scattered papers that seemed to absorb the dim glow from a single lamp in the corner. The woman turned sharply at the sound of the creaking door, her eyes narrowing as they landed on Clara and Benjamin. For a moment, recognition flickered in her gaze before it shifted to wariness. The man beside her braced himself, his posture tensing as if readying for a fight or flight. "Who are you?" he demanded, voice steady yet laced with uncertainty. We're just," Clara began, caught off guard by the intensity of his question. "Just curious?" The woman interrupted, crossing her arms defensively. "Do you have any idea what's at stake here?" "What do you mean?" Benjamin spoke up, stepping closer. "We heard you talking. What's going on?" The atmosphere thickened, filled with unspoken tension. The woman exchanged a glance with the man, her earlier resolve softening just enough to show hesitance. "You shouldn't be here. This is dangerous," she said, her voice almost pleading. "Dangerous?" Clara's heart raced. "What is so dangerous that you'd rather keep it a secret?" The man exhaled sharply, frustration spilling over. "It's more than just your usual trouble. There are people, powerful people who don't want this information getting out." He gestured to the papers scattered around. "We're trying to expose a truth about this gallery and its owners." Clara's mind whirred. "What truth?" The woman stepped forward, her expression softening as she saw the genuine curiosity in Clara's eyes. "There are connections here, hidden in plain sight. Connections that could change everything for many our lives. Their lives." Benjamin glanced at Clara, uncertainty shadowing his features. "What do you mean? Are you talking about the art or about everything?" the man interjected, his voice rising. "The art, the money, the people behind it. They're not who they say they are." Clara felt the weight of the room pressing down on her, each word landing heavily on her chest. She had stumbled into something far bigger than a simple art gallery, something that could potentially change their lives forever. "Why's?" Clara asked, taking a step closer. "What do we have to do with this?" The woman hesitated, her gaze flitting to Benjamin before landing back on Clara. "You were meant to find us. It might sound strange, but this was all set in motion long before you arrived at the gallery." "Set in motion?" Clara's mind raced. "How could that be?" "Because we need help," the woman said firmly, the urgency flaring anew. "And I believe you two might be the key." A chill traveled down Clara's spine as she realized they were being pulled into a web of danger and intrigue. "What kind of help?" "Help to uncover the truth here," the man said, his voice firm yet hopeful. "If we combine our strengths, we might be able to bring this all to light. But we need to act fast before it's too late." Clara exchanged another look with Benjamin, the weight of their decision before them: commit to a path shrouded in danger, or retreat to the safety of their ordinary lives. "Are we in?" Benjamin asked quietly, the flicker of excitement and fear in his gaze. The gravity of their choice settled upon Clara. This was no longer just a curious night, it was the beginning of something monumental. "Yeah," Clara finally said, her voice steady as resolve washed over her. "We're in." In that moment, something shifted. Clara felt the energy in the room spark alive, pulsing with possibility. They were stepping into a world of secrets and revelations, but what awaited them on the other side? And would they be ready to handle the truth that could change everything? The urgency in the room was palpable as the woman spoke again, her voice lower, but no less intense. "We need to gather information from the gallery's archives. There's a secret ledger hidden deep within, one that could expose everything." "Archives?" Clara frowned, glancing toward the dimly lit areas behind mountains of artwork stacked against the walls. "Where?" The man, whose name remained unspoken, gestured toward a far corner of the room. "There's a storage area. If we slip in there undetected, we might find what we need." "Sounds risky," Benjamin said, crossing his arms as if to protect himself. Risky but necessary, the woman insisted. One wrong step and we might get caught. But if we don't act, we're all in danger anyway. Clara felt a thrill of fear and excitement. They were stepping into the unknown. But the fire ignited in her gut told her there was no going back. What do we need to do? First, we need a distraction, the man said, glancing toward the door. There are guards outside, and we can't afford to alert them. Clara, I'll need you to help create a bit of chaos. Something to draw their attention away while we search. Can you do that? A rush of adrenaline surged through Clara. She nodded, her heartbeat drumming loudly in her ears. Good. The woman stepped closer, her expression earnest. We have limited time. We'll sneak in while Clara does her part. You'll have to be quick and careful. What if we get caught? Benjamin whispered, worry shadowing his features. Then we'll figure it out, Clara said, conviction in her voice. She felt an odd sense of determination springing forth. They were fighting against something large and threatening, together. We can't be afraid. You're right, the woman agreed, a glimmer of relief washing over her face. Let us move. Clara's heart hammered in her chest as they shuffled through the cramped space. The darkness intensified as shadows closed in around them. With each step, the gravity of their mission settled deeper into her mind. They reached the entrance to the storage area, a heavy door marked with wear and neglect. The man nodded at Clara, signaling her to create the diversion. Taking a breath to steady herself, Clara grasped the door handle, readying for her role. She turned and walked toward the main gallery, putting on a facade of nonchalance, even as her heart raced. When she neared the large, open space filled with art, a plan formed in her mind. She could pretend to admire the paintings, act like she was just a visitor. But Clara needed to draw attention away from the storage door chosen by her companions. With a deep breath, Clara began talking to herself loudly about the artworks. Theatrically gesturing as if she were a knowledgeable critic, whispers turned to gasps as she drew the eyes of the gallery attendees. "Isn't this one fascinating? Look at the colors. They seem to leap off the canvas," she exclaimed, feigning excitement, lapping up the thrill for as long as she could hold the crowd's attention. But inside, she felt the stakes rising. Footsteps echoed behind her, and she caught sight of a guard heading her way. Panic struck, and she knew she had to think quickly. With a swift glance back, she saw the man and woman slipping quietly through the storage entrance. That brief moment of movement ignited a fire deep inside her. She couldn't fail them now. "Excuse me, ma'am. It looks like you have something on your shoe," Clara called out to a nearby woman, pointing to her own. The crowd's attention shifted, hearts racing, laughter erupting as Clara seized the moment. But then, the guard halted, scanning the room. Clara felt the blood rush to her face. All it would take was one slip, one moment of uncertainty to unravel everything, and in that charged silence, the question loomed. Could Clara keep up the facade long enough for her friends to uncover the truth hidden away in the shadows? The tension rose, and as the guard continued to eye her with suspicion, Clara instinctively knew that this was just the beginning of a much bigger game, one that could cost them everything. Clara's heart thudded in her chest as she extended her arm, pointing toward the woman's shoe. Time seemed to stretch, heavy and suffocating. She sensed the guard's gaze pinning her down, unyielding. Clara forced an exaggerated chuckle, a nervous sound that slipped from her lips, barely masking her terror. The gallery filled with murmurs, curious glances darting back and forth. She was losing control of the situation, but her instinct urged her to keep talking. "It's beautiful in here. Isn't it? Such rich history. And this," she gestured wildly, directing the crowd's attention toward a massive abstract piece dominating the far wall. As the eyes shifted, Clara felt a momentary reprieve. But it was short-lived. The guard remained rooted in place, arms crossed, eyes narrowing. He was scrutinizing her with the intensity of a hawk. Clara's stomach twisted, but her resolve hardened. She could not let fear derail their plan. From behind her, she imagined what the man and woman were doing. Were they finding the ledger? Were they uncovering secrets that could save them all? The thought propelled her forward. She needed to buy them more time. "Can you believe the energy in this piece?" Clara shouted, weaving a tale about the artist's life that she had pulled from thin air. Years of struggle, and still look at how vibrant it is. Like a testament to resilience. A couple in the crowd leaned closer, intrigued. Just then, out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of the guard moving, inching toward her. "Oh, and this," she cried, darting to the closest painting, a stormy landscape. The artist painted his grief into this. You can nearly feel the emotions leaping from the canvas. The guard's foot faltered, caught off guard by her sudden shift. It was enough. For a second, he hesitated, distracted by her fervor. That was Clara's opening. "I bet if you look closely, you can see the brushstrokes where he poured his heart out," she urged, stepping back to give the crowd space, her voice rising with passion. "Who needs textbooks when we stand here surrounded by living history, right?" A ripple of agreement swept through the audience, drawn in by her enthusiasm. Clara felt a burst of elation. They were buying time. But as she turned to glance back at the storage door, anxiety clenched her heart. The door remained closed, and she worried if they were making any progress. Suddenly, the guard stepped forward, eyes fixated now on Clara with a serious glare. "Ma'am, what exactly are you doing here?" Her breath hitched. The illusion was crumbling. "Just, enjoying the art," she stammered, her mind racing for a new line of distraction. But then, something unexpected happened. From behind the guard, the door to the storage creaked open, and the man and woman spilled out, faces pale with urgency. Their eyes widened at the sight of Clara, ensnared in conversation with the guard. The woman mouthed a silent message, urging Clara to keep talking. Adrenaline coursed through her. She glanced back at the guard, who was visibly annoyed. But dare she take the plunge and push him? Isn't it amazing how art can evoke such strong feelings? Clara blurted out, an idea sparking in her mind. She was desperate but drawing from the well of her passion for creativity. "I mean, look, this piece right here," she pointed, now losing track of which painting she argued about, "is a perfect example of the beauty that can arise from suffering." The guard hesitated, clearly caught between frustration and the unexpected eloquence of her words. But then, suddenly, a commotion erupted at the gallery's entrance. A loud crash. The crowd gasped, all heads turning. "You need to stay here," he ordered, his focus wavering away from Clara. It was all too perfect. As he turned to assess the disruption, Clara felt a surge of hope. "Now's your chance," the woman whispered to the man beside her. They began to slip back toward the shadows. The thrill of the moment washed over Clara as she realized her part had been lighting a path for them. Still, something weighed on her mind. What if they were discovered? Now, what if they couldn't escape? The reality of their danger loomed, and her heart raced faster than ever. As fear threatened to choke her, a thought flickered: what would they find in that ledger? And more importantly, how would their lives change once the truth was out? With the gallery in chaos, Clara made a choice. Just as she heard the guard barking orders, she leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Remember, the truth will always find a way." And with that, she let the tension rise, holding her breath as the storm of chaos swirled around her, but the real storm of discovery was only just beginning. Clara's heart raced as the guard turned fully away, his focus shifting toward the entrance chaos. For a heartbeat, everything felt suspended, wrapped in that electric moment of potential. She pushed herself to remember why she was here, to support the emerging hope that Benjamin had begun to seize. The man and woman slipped through the door, the soft click echoing in her mind. She swallowed the lump in her throat, feeling the urgency of the moment and the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. "What's happening?" Clara heard the guard mutter to a colleague just behind him, his irritation growing, and knowing their time was short sparked a fire within her. With renewed determination, Clara turned back to the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, let us give our attention over here. Why don't we start a conversation about the story behind these vibrant pieces? Art is more than just paint on canvas. It's an expression of emotion. It's a dialogue that speaks to us all. The crowd's curiosity simmered, eyes darting back toward her. She felt the tide shifting in her favor as laughter and conversations began to bubble over, creating a distraction loud enough to swallow the guard's impending questions. Meanwhile, Clara's heart soared as she mentally willed the trio to move quickly. They have to find that ledger, they have to, she thought fervently, wondering just what secret lay inside those hidden pages. What truths would come to light once they ventured deep into the rarefied air of the gallery's underbelly. Their plot twisted on the knife's edge of adventure, and every moment spent waiting became fragile glass, threatening to shatter under the pressure. Clara caught sight of Benjamin peeking back through the doorway, nerves hidden behind his hopeful gaze. "Are we good?" he mouthed, hands scrubbed over his messy hair, revealing a whirlwind of emotions at play. Clara shot him a thumbs up, her imagination roaring with idealistic images of their victory. Then the guard's voice snapped her attention like a rubber band. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step aside while we investigate this situation," he barked back, the warning ringing in Clara's ears. "Of course, sir. Just one moment." She took a step back, heart racing again as she waved her hands theatrically, driving the crowd's focus further away from the moving shadows behind her. Yet, every instinct whispered that they were running out of time. "Go, go, go," Clara thought, urging the duo into a fever of action she couldn't see, but desperately wanted to be part of. With the guard momentarily distracted, she spoke up, more forceful than before. "This piece evokes the struggle of our very own existence. Notice the brush strokes." She prattled on, spinning stories again, but her mind was elsewhere, all her thoughts centering on Benjamin. The last moments they shared had ignited something precious. A bond strung tight between mutual carried burdens, and then, predictably, chaos erupted again. But this time the gallery was alive in a different way. Shouts of excitement were mixed with surprise. Clara had captured the crowd, and the prospect of discovery felt tangible. "Together, we are like a canvas blending our stories. While this art hangs in the balance, let us pour out our own emotions too." And there it was, the genuine weaving of camaraderie, the heart of Willow Creek coming alive with her words. She saw smiles emerging and shared laughter ripple through the gallery, threading them all together in unexpected unity. But just then, a new voice surged above the rest. "You, why are you here?" The guard stepped toward Clara with fire in his eyes. In a surge of panic, she realized they had to get out, to make sure Benjamin and the others were safe. Time constricted like a spring, and in a split-second decision, Clara decided it was now or never. "Excuse me, everyone," she called out. "We have a special surprise piece that needs your attention." As all eyes turned to her, Clara seized the moment and whispered softly to Benjamin and his allies behind her. "Now, you need to go now." The guard paused, surprise flaring in his eyes. At that moment, the man and woman sprang from their hiding place, eyes sparking with adrenaline. A wave of promise danced through Clara's veins. She believed in them. She believed in this mission for truth, and she knew that all they could ever do was stand together against uncertainty. "Thank you," the masked man yelled as they dashed toward the storage room, urgency in their steps, and Clara let go of a nervous laugh. Adrenaline crackled in the air, and she exuded warmth, feeling their dreams of artistry and connection growing alive once again. Then the guard lunged toward them, arms stretching, but Clara let out a powerful laugh, a sound filled with hope, and said, "Art is freedom. Let them be." Clara turned, her heart buoyed by courage. Be part of something bigger. Just then, a flood of people erupted through the exit, laughter spilling over as the commotion in the gallery reabsorbed into appreciation and chaos. The guard wavered, lost in the embers of a moment filled with possibility. In the next breath, Clara felt the tide shift. With a few swift steps, Benjamin was beside her once more. "Did they find it?" he panted, face alive with exhilaration. "I think so," Clara beamed, their glee catching fire in the suffocating air. "We did it together." A buzz of excitement thrummed through them now, as the truth and beauty they sought melded into one. They were creators, not just witnesses, but courageous architects of the narrative to come. As chaos danced around them, Clara turned her focus inward, allowing her heart to feel every beat of transformation and every prickling hope. All the letters, every whisper of longing from Benjamin, had submerged her heart into this vivacious connection that was beginning now, here at the gallery, where art and truth collided. And for the first time, she realized she wasn't just the lonely librarian anymore. She was more. They all were. They had embraced their vulnerabilities, infused with purpose and camaraderie that swept through the room, a collective revelation that glittered brightly within each heart present. When the night closed, they took with them not just memories, but a promise that real connections wait beyond fears. Together, they paint the story anew, guided by love and the undeniable truth they had unearthed. Don't wait another second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the magic alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending you just read. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, be part of this powerful community.